Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Lenny and I am the owner of Too Many Dogs. I thought I'd do a video about owning a Dachshund in the UK. I was looking on YouTube and I spotted that a lot of the videos are American. You can probably hear in the background dogs moving. That's what 6 Dachshunds sounds like. But yeah, so I thought I would do a little video about owning a Dachshund in the UK. Because they're a really popular breed at the moment, and I just think that if you are looking to buy one or rescue one, then it's worth knowing as much as you can. So I'm going to talk a little bit about them, a little bit about finding the right one, things to not go for and things to go for. So I'm just going to initially start by just explaining the breed in the UK and the types that you can get of Dachshund. So there's 2 different sizes of Dachshund in the UK, the miniature and the standard. I'll post some photos here. The most common that you will see around is the miniature. So chances are if you're looking to get a Dachshund and you've seen one and met one that you really liked, and that's what's influenced you to look into getting one, it was probably a miniature. Within those 2 different sizes, there's 3 different coats. So there's the smooth coat Dachshund, I'll put more photos here, the long-haired Dachshund, and then there is the wire-haired Dachshund. Again, the most common that you will see around is the smooth-haired Dachshund, but there are quite a lot now of the long-haired and the wire-haired. Now splitting them up even more, there's several different colours that you can find within those coat types. Sorry, you can probably hear loads of playing going on in the room at the moment with the Dachshunds, but please do ignore it. So I'm not going to talk about the colours that there are in Dachshunds because there is a long list which you can find in the link below. But what I am going to do is talk about the colours that you should avoid, or at least research a lot more before you buy one. So the first colour that I want to talk about is the dilute colour. So I'm going to post some more photos here. So generally speaking, they would be advertised as blue or Isabella. Dilute colours can come with a lot of health issues. The main health issue that they come with can be alopecia. So basically it means that as they mature and they get older, they can end up having hair loss and having issues with their skin. Again, I'll leave a link below to further information about this. Dilutes are often advertised as being rare colours, but actually they're not very rare. And the reason they might appear to be rare is because a lot of people who do research won't purchase them. I'm now going to talk about the pattern, which is called dapple. So dapple is perfectly healthy in its own right. So when a dog is dapple, it will look a little bit like this. This is a healthy example of the dapple pattern. But what can happen is people can end up breeding a dapple to a dapple, and what comes from that is something called double dapple. So my memory card was full, clearly talking too much, but let's go from where I was. So some of the issues that can come from breeding a dapple to a dapple, i.e. creating a double dapple, is that they can be blind, deaf, they can also have skin issues and various other internal issues that you might not see on the surface. So generally speaking, that really is the worst, although it's a pattern, not a colour, it is the worst pattern / colour that you can go for. I'm going to put loads of photos, or as many as I can find, of double dapples so that you really have a good idea of what to avoid. Again, they'll often be advertised as being rare or be advertised as just being dapple. Just because the advert says this dog is rare, or just because it says this dog is this colour or that colour, it doesn't mean it is. So it's always worth referring to other photos of that colour and making sure that it is the colour that you think you're going to have. Because obviously later on, if it's not that colour and it comes with various health issues, you're going to be struggling with a new puppy or a new dog, and then finding out that you've got to spend more money on them is really difficult. So I'm filming this video in the middle of the lockdown, and at the moment the prices of Dachshunds have skyrocketed, so they've gone really, really high. Before lockdown, the average price you would be looking at for a Dachshund, so I'm just talking generally, so I'm talking about all the different sizes and all the different coats. The average price you would have been spending before lockdown for a KC registered dog would be somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000. Now I'm being pretty vague, but that's because the different coat types can sometimes mean that they're slightly more difficult to sell, so it means that the breeder might have a slightly different pricing. But you will be looking somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000. In the lockdown, you'll now be looking somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000. So me personally, I would say just wait until the lockdown's over, because as a Dachshund owner in a community of Dachshund owners, we're all pretty much thinking that once lockdown is over, there's going to be a lot of puppies up for rehoming or slightly older dogs up for rehoming. And there's probably also going to be a lot of puppies from breeders where the prices are now brought back down because the market is oversaturated with dogs that are available. So if you're not in a huge rush, it's definitely worth getting on a waiting list and waiting the lockdown out or until it's lifted slightly more, and the prices then might change. So I've talked about the 2 different sizes, so you've got miniature and standard. I've talked about the 3 different coat types, which you've got the smooth, long and wire. And I've talked a little bit about the colours that you might want to avoid. So I'm talking about dilute colours, which might often be advertised as blue or Isabella. And I've also talked about the double dapple pattern, which comes with the most health issues, so is definitely worth avoiding. I'm going to talk a little bit now about where to find a puppy or a dog to rehome. So there are rescues in the UK that will have Dachshunds up for rescue, but of course there are a lot more people looking for a Dachshund than there are available to rehome. But I'll pop some links below of some rescues in the UK that are specific to Dachshunds, so it's definitely worth getting on their waiting list as well. When you look online about buying a Dachshund, it will often say that you should completely only go for KC registered dogs that have come from council licensed breeders, which I don't think is always necessary. There can be really good families that have bred their family pet to keep a puppy back, and actually they've treated the dogs really well. They have health tested still and they have KC registered, but they're just not council licensed because they're only doing 1 litter or something like that. So it's definitely worth investigating, getting to know the breeder, and then of course visiting the puppies and their mum, and if you can, visiting their dad if it's also in that household. The thing is breeders can be council licensed, they can be KC registering their puppies, but they also can have a lot of hidden secrets. So it's really up to you to dig that little bit deeper and try and find out exactly how the mum is being treated, because that's so important, and then find out the health testing has been done that is necessary for the breed, which I'll talk about in a minute, and also that the dad is being well treated. So investigate that as much as you can before you commit to a puppy. It's so easy to just go online and be like, oh my god, it's so cute, and then buy the puppy and then find out later that you've actually given money to someone who really doesn't care about their animals. So I'm just going to now touch on that health testing that I was talking about. So the main testing for Dachshunds that you will come across if you are researching the breed is the PRA testing and the Lafora testing, which Lafora is specific to wire hair Dachshunds. What you are looking for when you are getting a puppy is that the parents have been PRA tested or Lafora tested. With the PRA testing, ideally you're looking for parents that have been clear to clear, so it means that the puppies will be PRA clear. You can also find parents that have been bred clear to carrier, which means the puppies will still be clear. What you definitely don't want to end up doing is buying a puppy that can be PRA affected, which means that they could later in life lose their sight. Again, I'll pop a link below so that you can definitely dissect the health tests for Dachshunds in regards to PRA and Lafora. I don't have a wire hair, so I'm not the most educated on Lafora, so definitely worth investigating that with the link below. The other health testing that is now being done on a lot of Dachshunds is the IVDD screen testing. IVDD is a disease of the spine basically, and it comes in Dachshunds because they are long-bodied. What can happen is little discs in the spine can explode, and then they affect the main nerve that runs down the Dachshund, which means that they can end up being disabled from any part within their spine downwards, meaning that they could potentially be paralysed later in life. What the Breed Council are now doing is they are trying to get breeders to IVDD screen the parents so that you have a better idea of the chances of their children, their puppies, having IVDD. If your dog were to come down with IVDD later in life, it can be extremely expensive. So even just having an MRI on the spine, which will tell the vet whether or not they need to have an operation to try and fix whatever the issue is can cost anywhere from sort of 2,000, 4,000, and then the operation on top of that. So again, it's extremely expensive. So at the moment, not that many Dachshunds are IVD screened, or not enough anyway. And so it does mean that you'd find it really hard to find a puppy that comes from IVD screened parents. So what you can do is still buy a puppy as long as it has the other health testing, so PRA testing or LaFlora testing, and then make sure you have really, really good insurance. So basically you're preempting that they might have a back issue later in life, but making sure that you have the insurance money aside, that means that they have the best chance and can have the operation. So what I recommend is that you get insurance that is lifetime insurance of at least £10,000, because although it might seem like £6,000 is enough because that will cover an MRI and the operation, what would you then do in the same year if they had the same episode happen again? So if they needed 2 operations. So it's definitely worth having £10,000 or max cover for lifetime, so that if they have IVDD, they're still covered if they have another episode of IVDD. Again, I'm going to put so many links in the description box to the UK Breed Council, because they give out so much information that I think people sometimes miss when they're doing their research. So now I've talked about what you're looking for when you're buying a Dachshund and the possible health issues that you might have with the Dachshund and things like that. I'm now going to introduce my Dachshunds. So I only have one smooth hair Dachshund, and the colouring that she is a red brindle, so I'm just going to get her. So this is Eva. And Eva is a red brindle smooth miniature Dachshund, and she is 2 years old. The rest of my Dachshunds, so I have 5 others, are all long-haired Dachshunds, so I'm just going to take you through them. So this is Evie, to make it even more confusing. Evie is also a red brindle, but she is a long-haired miniature Dachshund. Thank you. This is Dee Dee. Dee Dee is also a long-haired miniature Dachshund, and she is a red. Dee Dee is 14, so she has a grey muzzle. They don't usually have this if you get a young one, but this is Dee Dee. This is Fenton. He is also a red brindle long. You will see a little bit of a trend in a minute to the red brindling in my house. This is Elsa. Elsa is a long-haired black and tan. Thank you. And this is Nemo. And Nemo is the puppy, and he's 7 months old. Oh, he's going to bite my face. And Nemo is also a long-haired red brindle. Thank you, Nemo. So that's me introducing my 6 Dachshunds. I've only briefly just told you their names and shown you them, but I'm hoping that a few of you might comment below other things that you'd like me to talk about in regards to owning a Dachshund in the UK. I'm saying in the UK because in other countries there's very different information on Dachshunds, and also they have different traits because of their breeding to that country. So yeah, I thought you might want to comment below different things that you'd like me to cover in a future video, and then I might also do some more videos of my dogs and traits that they have. Just let me know what you want me to talk about next. I didn't want to make this video too long because I just want to talk about the main points to owning a Dachshund and buying one initially. If you want to subscribe to my channel and comment again below anything that you'd like me to talk about in regards to owning a Dachshund in the UK, then please do, because then I will know what to do videos about for the future. If you've got any questions, then I will reply to the comments as much as I can, but if I feel like it's a topic I can do a whole video on, then I will. If you want to see anything from my Dachshunds, then let me know and I'll try and film it. Thank you very much for watching my video. Please like, subscribe, again, comment below, and I look forward to doing my next video about Dachshunds. And yes, it is Dachshunds, not Dachshunds, not Dachshunds, Dachshunds. Bye!